Welcome everybody. This is CEDIA Day 3. We're here at the virtual con. Once again, you're not able to visit our booth, but we saved the best for last. This is the product sneak peek. And as you can see today, I'm not actually able to just do this by myself. I have to bring in the big guns, John Tumbleson, to drop us through this, what everything you see right here is. But a lot of you may have known, a lot of you may not have known, but AVPro over the last 2 years has been working on an AV over IP system, networked audio video. This is something that is completely different than what we do with our matrix switchers and our extenders. It's a different type of audio video technology. And we knew if we entered that market, we were gonna have to make a big splash. So for the first time ever, you get a look at MXNet. That is the name of this system that you're looking at right here. This includes an encoder and decoders that allows you to send audio video signals over a network. So without further ado, let me introduce here John, and let's take a look at what we're looking at. So John, who are you?
Okay, well, I head up application development and engineering for AVPro, and I've become more or less a project manager and product manager for that matter in terms of developing and getting new products that we haven't done before ready for market, and fully developed and fully vetted out.
Yes, well, thank you. And I know I've seen this on your desk. I've seen you working on this in the lab for a long time. We got a video wall made of OLEDs right by your desk. So, I mean, there's a lot of cool stuff happening. So I'm excited to kind of break it away from there and kind of look at what we're looking at. Would you kind of be able to explain the MX network to me and our audience and what we're looking at here?
All right, yes, be happy to. MXNet runs off of a pretty much a standard off-the-shelf data switch. Okay, so the switches that you can buy to do emails and surf the web and things like that,
Sure.
that provide data to infrastructure to people in an office environment, that type of thing. Well, you can take one of those and you can reconfigure it so that it will be able to handle video data as opposed to regular email data or surfing data, and then be able to distribute that data to various parts of a building. And it could be anywhere from a small, let's say, sports bar or home or things to that effect, where you have, let's say, 4 inputs, 4 outputs, that kind of thing, all the way up to a stadium where you could have hundreds of outputs, hundreds of endpoints,
Wow.
all those kinds of things. Yeah, it's very scalable and expandable, and so yeah, we're pretty excited about it.
Excuse me. Well, I know our integrators are going to be excited about that too, because right now we hear a lot of limitations about our inputs. We have an unlimited output in the Cloud 9, but there's limitations in 1080p. We're looking at wanting to have a 4K solution that our integrators are going to be able to expand, and it seems like this is going to be the solution.
Yes, well, this is what's nice with this is that you have any combination of transmitters or receivers. So if I just get this little guy out of the way, here's a transmitter.
Mm-hmm.
Notice there's 2 wires on it. One's the data wire itself, the Ethernet or RJ45, and then there's an HDMI cable on here. Okay, that's it. As you may notice, there's no other plugs or anything, and yet it's lit up and we're obviously running. That's because this is also power over Ethernet.
Oh,
so
cool.
It can be powered, and that's the beauty of that, is that you don't have to run or plug in power adapters into transmitters and receivers at the other end and so forth.
So you power your switch. Any of the receivers or transmitters that are connected will just automatically be powered over PoE.
Yes, right through the Ethernet wire itself.
That's awesome. So we have our transmitters and receivers, and so I assume, I know as an AVPro guy, we have transmitters and receivers for our HD-based extenders. How are these transmitters and receivers different? Do they just because they connect to the network switch? That's how they're different, correct?
Well, that's one of the differences. These are not HD-based T. These are just strictly IP.
Mm-hmm.
There's some differences, but you have options of either a 1 gig type system, which is you're going to find mostly in commercial venues, because you don't need 4K high dynamic range signals in those kind of settings.
Sure.
But you might want the 10 gig version of this that would be in a home where you can support 4K, HDR, and Dolby Vision.
Oh,
So,
wow.
So that's one of the differences. The big thing that's different is that it's not a fixed matrix.
Sure.
It is however you want to make it. So if there's going to be instances, in fact, we've run into it already, talking to people about this system, is that they're going to have more inputs than they're going to have outputs, which is usually not the case.
Sure.
So it's usually the other way around, but there are situations where you would have that, and that's the beauty of the system, is it can be whatever you want it to be in terms of inputs and outputs.
That's so cool. So this is the system we're looking at right now. I have my sources, which is 2 Apple TVs. I see that they're connected to our transmitters that are right here. That signal gets sent along this category. Is this category 6, or what kind of category cable do you have to use for this?
Well, that's the beauty. It kind of depends on which system. The 1 gig system can actually run on Cat5e. And there's a huge advantage to that, because there's a lot of installations out there right now, as we speak, in which you've got aging, AV over IP systems that need to be replaced. And so one of the things that's been a drawback in the past is that if you try to bring in something that had higher bandwidth than what the cable infrastructure in that building can support, then you have a problem, because you're not going to be able to use the newer equipment. So that's one of the beauties of the MXNet, is that we can use existing wire infrastructure. You may have to end up re-terminating the ends on the category wires, but you can run on Cat5e. Now, ideally, you're always going to hear me say this, is that you want to really be running on Cat6a, doesn't matter what it is, because
Sure.
that's going to be the stuff that lasts the longest in the buildings. But that's another, I digress.
Perfect. So we're running over the data cables which is category, which you could use in this instance 5 or 6, and into our network switches. Those network switches are connected to our receivers, and those receivers are connected to our 2 monitors. That's what our setup is right here.
Yeah, it's a 2x2. It's about you could go 1 by 1, I suppose, but the most simplest of representations. Yes.
That's amazing. So that means that anything, just like our matrix switchers, guys, anything that is connected to the transmitters, that means you're able to play it that on any of the displays connected to the receiver. So you can duplicate the signal, you can, split the signal as many times as you want, or you can show something individual on every single screen. I know, John, that you have been working really hard on the setup, the control, the interface for this product.
Right.
Yes. And I think as I've learned what I've learned about it, it seems like this may be one of the biggest standouts of this switch.
Yes.
So let's run the people through what we are working on for the control in the setup.
Okay, yeah. I mean, the biggest issue has been with AV over IP systems has been that they're very difficult to set up and maintain. And I'm not going to talk about other brands, but they shall remain nameless. But you know who they are, and it's just a nightmare to set them up. And then if you want to down the road want to add an additional transmitter or receiver, generally what you have to do is you have to go back and blow up the whole thing and restart it over again as if you're starting from scratch. And we wanted something that would be much easier to manage than what you've had to deal with in the past. And that starts with the design and architecture of the system itself, and then flows all the way through to the user interface, the PC software in this case, that allows you to easily set these things up and get them going in no time at all. And one of the things you'll notice is you'll see some things that are a little different on the fronts of the transmitters and receivers as compared to our HD-based extender kits. And one of them you're going to see is the little data window in here. Okay?
Oh, wow, that's cool.
Okay, so this data window tells you the IP address of the unit itself, and it also tells you the name of it. Now, what I mean by name is you can give these things a custom name, so that you can name all the transmitters, the inputs, the sources DirecTV 1, DirecTV 2, Apple TV 1, Apple TV 2, whatever it might be, whatever your sources might be, you can name them.
All right, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna put on screen the actual control software. So John, now we are seeing the program, the software that would be used by the integrator if they were going to set up their own network switch. Can you kind of walk us through what the integrator is looking at? And I do have to say right away, I'm looking at this and it is looking beautiful with these dark backgrounds and everything looks very clear and crisp. You did a bang up job on this.
Well, thank you very much. So there's 6 icons that allow us to control various pieces of the system. First one is connect. That's really simple. You either connect over LAN connection or you connect over RS-232. That's it.
Perfect.
And all you have to do is hit the connect button and it connects it. And so it says connected right now, and it even shows you the IP address and so forth. Okay. The next one is configure. So all you have to do here is go in and plug in your transmitters and receivers. The system will automatically show them on the list, and you can at that point assign custom names to every transmitter and receiver. This could be, otherwise what it's going to do is it's going to show you the MAC address. So it's highly recommended that you go ahead and give it a custom name, especially with receivers. You can not only name it as an LG TV, but you could say LG West Wall,
sure,
that kind of thing. So it just allows you, when you're organizing your project, that you can identify not only what brand it is if you want, but you can also identify where it's installed.
That's cool. That's really cool.
And that gets really important when you're doing stadiums.
Yeah, sure, exactly. You don't want to walk 100 yards one way and you still can't find the unit.
So these 2 pages, these 2 tabs, give you all the information that you need to put for your transmitters and receivers. And they also include lighting controls. Especially, this is an important feature with the receivers, is the ability to turn off the lights. So that, especially in venues that have very dark rooms, number one complaint would be that I can see the lights blinking. Behind the TV, you can see them on the wall.
Yeah, you have a dark theater. I know this was very important to you when you were developing this, and so you would have a dark theater, you have a really dark room, you're getting into the feel and the vibe, but you just have a blinking LAN light behind that is just bothering you. So what you have developed for this solution is to actually just turn off the lights.
Yes.
Bring the control to the integrator.
Yes.
He decides if the light is on or off. And with that, I know you have a flash feature so that you can locate your transmitters or receivers by individually selecting them to flash the lights, which is so cool, John.
Yeah. So that's the beauty of that with the flashing piece is that, let's say you're looking at your install and there's a source going to a TV that it shouldn't be going there. You're saying, why is that TV getting source 1? It should be getting source 2. So what I can do is I can individually turn on a flash feature on every single receiver or transmitter, that you would be able to go and look behind each TV that's installed, that's hanging on the wall and so forth, until you locate the one that's actually the one that's supposed to be somewhere else. So it makes it easy it improves and makes troubleshooting much easier.
Sure.
And so I'm pretty excited about that. I think a lot of people out there will be excited as well.
Totally. I mean, it's an extremely cool and unique feature.
The next page is the Auto Matrix page. All right. What's cool about this is that whatever you do with the configure page in terms of transmitters and receivers it automatically generates a matrix for you on the Auto Matrix page. So you don't have to do anything but just plug in the transmitters and receivers, name them, and identify them, and then you're done. When you click on Auto Matrix, it automatically looks at all those and builds out the matrix for you automatically. You've got all your sources on the left side in a column, and you'll see the scroll bars. Again, these scroll bars automatically engage once you've exceeded the length of the screen real estate. You'll see the scroll bar pop up on the right, and that also applies to the outputs and displays. In this particular case, we have somewhere around near 70 holes.
So plenty to play with. That's for sure.
Exactly. So, and then the next piece is the next page is the video wall page.
Oh wow! So this unit actually has video wall features as well.
That's right. And what we have is the ability to input the display measurements, so that it'll automatically do the bezel compensation for us. And then I have a choice between a 3x3 video wall or a 2x2 video wall.
Oh, that is so cool.
And the other thing it'll do is that you can select your inputs and outputs, but you can also rotate if you have, let's say, some displays that have a thicker bottom bezel than the rest of the display, so the top, left, and rights are fine, but the bottom's a little thicker, might want to hang those upper panels upside down, at least for a 2x2.
Sure.
And so you flip them upside down, and then I can flip the image 180 degrees, so you don't have to worry about that. And
that's so cool.
Yeah, that's a really cool feature. Then the next piece is kind of a control feature. We have the ability to control things over using CEC. So basically all you have to do is select which receivers you're going to want to send the CEC commands to. And you have a choice of power on and power off. That's it. We're not doing any more than that. And the reason is that there's already at least 30 power on codes and 30 power off codes. And we can't even get into like volume control. A lot of people say, well, why can't you do volume control? You can't do it because it's reserved for AVRs. And so TVs have to pretend they're AVRs, and not all of them do. It becomes a mess. We're not going to support that. We're just going to give you power on and power off. But that's what you have is CEC power control. You also have RS-232 pass-through. All right, we call that serial pass-through also. That allows me to take a control command and encapsulate it into a command that sends it directly to the endpoint that you want to go to the target display. And then there's a little modem built into the receiver that will automatically set the baud rate and send the signal to the RS-232 plug or jack on the back of that TV. And that gives you the ability to power on and off TVs, your target displays. And that, lots of different brands support the RS-232 pass-through capabilities. Sure. Then we have one more, which is USB and keyboard video mouse. Okay, so our KVM.
Sure.
Okay, all right. And with this, it allows us to especially you'll see on the front of the receivers, you'll see some USB ports. And then on the backs of the receivers, you'll see a USB-B connection. It's the host port, if you will. And the USB host port basically plugs into something like a PC. And then on the other end, I could plug in a keyboard or a mouse or even a camera. This will all run upstream, even video images, and there's almost no lag or latency at all. It's just almost instantaneous. So we're pretty happy about the performance.
That's
of that
so
system
cool,
as
yeah.
well.
I mean, I can tell you, this is a very, very robust system, John. So I think you've outdone yourself. I think we've shown the people too much already. So you guys, this will be coming out later this year, maybe early next year, maybe in a couple months. Who knows? We don't know. The only way you're going to find out is if you follow us at AVPro. Follow us on Facebook. Follow us on YouTube. Follow us on Twitter. And most importantly, visit avproedge.com. Visit the CEDIA page. See everything that we're doing for here. John, thank you so much for running us through all of this. I do appreciate you taking the time, giving everybody the sneak peek on the MXNet.
My pleasure. Thanks, Tom.
All right, guys, so this wraps up CEDIA 2020. It was different this year, but we still had a great time. We want to hear from you, so definitely send us your emails, send us your questions. What do you think of MXNet? We want your feedback. And you can give that all on through any of our social media channels or directly on this video's comment section. So thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next year. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.